Ms Morris.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. It is important that we are clear about what it is we're actually debating today. This debate is all about saving lives. We're talking about giving our police the tools that they need to keep our children, young adults, families and vulnerable community groups safe from knife crime. Tragically, a young 17-year-old Queensland man, Jack, had to lose his life from a senseless knife attack for governments around Australia to consider better ways to combat knife crime. Knife crime is at risk of spiralling out of control in Canberra. In just 5 weeks, ACT Police seized 48 knives at carjackings, assaults, burglaries and in public places. Children as young as 13 have been found carrying knives. And just last week, as we all know, Canberra Outlet Centre was placed in lockdown after an individual threatened innocent shoppers and staff with a machete. Jack's parents, Brett and Belinda, have now dedicated their lives to honour the legacy of their son by pioneering the way for more effective, preventative laws to combat knife crime in their son's name. While our police already have the power to stop and search a person if they reasonably suspect they're in possession of a knife, Jack's Law will give our police the tools that they need to conduct that search in a safe and in a dignified manner. Dignified because by introducing metal detection wands, police will be better able to preserve the dignity of a suspected person by conducting a search without needing to physically apprehend or touch them up and down. Safe because it reduces the risk of assault against police officers. Currently, the close proximity required to conduct searches leaves our frontline officers vulnerable to needle stick injuries. Our police put themselves in harm's way every day to keep our community safe. The very least that we can do as lawmakers is to give them the tools that they need to do their job so they can return home safely to their families at the end of each day. Now, we've previously heard from the ACT government and the former ACT Attorney General, Shane Rattenbury, about why we could not possibly introduce life-saving Jack laws. They've said there's insufficient evidence, a lack of support and human rights concerns. So let's just unpack some of those for a brief moment. First, the evidence. The evidence is that knife crime can cause significant injury and death. And at the end of January this year, ACT Policing issued an official warning about increasing knife crime following a surge in knife incidents. Since Jack's Law was introduced in Queensland in April 2023, 953 weapons have been seized through more than 10,500 wanding operations carried out at safe night precincts, transport hubs, shopping centres and sporting and entertainment venues around the state. Across Queensland, police have now scanned more than 100,000 people, resulting in more than 4,800 offences, which were mostly weapons and drug related. I note that Mr Rattenbury did warn that Jack's Law risks minor offenders coming into contact with the criminal justice system for drug offences. But this is a baseless excuse to block life-saving laws, given the ACT government has already decriminalised hard drugs.
Jeremy wants to change that.
The reality is every knife, every machete, every bladed instrument taken off our streets is a potential life saved. Second is concerns from some stakeholders that wand use could lead to more intrusive searches if false positives are returned and potential racial profiling. Under sections 193 and 207 of the Crimes Act, police already have the powers to search someone suspected of carrying a knife. Jack's Law would allow them to conduct that search in a dignified and safe way, without metal detection wands. In the very first instant, a search is intrusive for everyone who is being searched. In contrast, a wand protects the dignity of more people by reducing the total number of people who would otherwise be subject to physically intrusive searches. There is no evidence to suggest that existing laws have been used to racially profile vulnerable groups, and so it does not follow that Jack's Law will inevitably lead to racial profiling. Our frontline police officers have an impeccable record and operate according to the highest standards of professionalism, accountability and responsibility in exercising the powers granted to them in this chamber. As legislators, we are able to draft laws in such a way that appropriate protections are put in place. We are also able to conduct a review of those laws to assess their use and effectiveness and ensure that they are not being misused. So while those concerns may be well-meaning, in the balance of things, they are no reason to prevent life-saving laws when they can be addressed. The final reason given by the former Attorney General for blocking these life-saving laws was the limitations they might pose on one's privacy, equality and freedom of movement. Allowing police to use metal detection wands affords more people the right to privacy by removing the need for physically intrusive searches. As a community, we accept that in some situations we may be required to be searched in the interests of community safety, for example at airports or even roadside breath tests. We do this because we accept it's in the interest of everyone's good, to keep everyone safe and to save lives. And that's exactly what we're talking about and advocating for today. Common sense, preventative laws to save lives from senseless knife crime. That's what it's all about, and so I thank Mr Kane for bringing forward this very important issue to the Chamber today, and I commend his motion to the Assembly.
Members.